Hello and welcome to the Fauxbi Offensive Tournament Group 3 Introduction. If you want to find out more details about the tournament, you can check out the link in the description for full info and rules and that sort of thing. But for now, let's check out the various contestants. First up, we have the 500th Mechanised, accompanied by the 3rd Airborne Rising Sun Squadron by Gaming 19. Just looking up my notes. Right, here we go. So let's take a look at them. Hopefully there won't be quite so much carnage when they actually spawn. I think that's just me kind of dropping them from a height. But as you can see, they are, despite the name, they are in fact a mechanised division. They've got several aircraft, including this upside down one. And I think they've gone for a somewhat realistic styling overall. So let's review the various craft that make this up. First up, we have 5 of these Mitsubishi F2s, which I'm not sure, they sound and look like they're probably replicas. They're very realistic looking. Some good looking vehicles there. They are armed with here you see at the front, this 40mm sabot cannon, as well as 4 8-block missiles and 2 5-block missiles. So hopefully there'll be some quite effective close air support from them. Next we have the 5 of these Type 90 main battle tanks. So let's check these out. Again, these are sort of, I think, kind of the armoured fist of them. They look like tanks, but they are officially classed as support vehicles because they could also be classed as tanks, but they don't use any heavy armour, so they meet the classification for support vehicles. And they are armed with, their main gun is a 500mm heat and frag, which is an unusual combination, as well as this little auto cannon on the top here. As you can see, a fairly basic design. Again, somewhat realistic. Not a lot of detail gone into them, but yeah, recognisably a tank, no question of that. Next up, we have the Type 74 main battle tank, which I can't remember that front reminds me of the I forget its name, the Russian armoured fighting vehicle. I believe it's Russian. It may well be called the Type 74, I don't know. Again, this is officially classed as a support vehicle. Again, I believe this could be classified as a tank, but again, no heavy armour. This is armed with a slightly smaller 400mm heat cannon, and there's only 3 of these in the force. Again, fairly similar looking, slightly smaller. Again, fairly basic design. Okay, let's move on. So we've got the Type 10 main battle tank. Once again, fairly similar. And again, like all the others, it's a support class. I think this one might be slightly too small to count as a... No. This could be a tank, but it isn't. It's there's just 3 of these in the force, and these are armed with, again, these have a 500mm hollow point along with HE and frag shells, so another somewhat unusual combination there. So once again, of similar styling, again fairly basic looking. That's them. Next up we have the Type 72 tank destroyer. Or is it the Type 72 tank destroyer? That's what I've got written down. Can I find them in this list? Oh, there we go. Let's zoom to the not damaged one. Okay, this is a support tank, or, well, again, I think this probably could count as a tank, but it is a support. Sort of reminiscent of, is it like the Ferdinand German Second World War tank destroyer? I don't know if that's what they're aiming for, or if that's just a fairly standard tank destroyer look. But there it is. This is armed with a, same as the last one, 500mm hollow point along with HE and frag payload. And there we have that. That's the Type 72. Next up, the Type 87 self-propelled AA gun. There we go. Let's take a look at him. Okay, and this is armed with two 236mm heat guns. It's a little unusual to put heat on anti-aircraft, but I can't see why it wouldn't work. There we go. That's similar sort of styling to all the rest. Next up, we have the Type 99 self-propelled howitzer. Yep, looks like a fairly realistic but fairly kind of basic rendition of it. That is armed with a 452mm HE frag combo. That's once again, it's classed as, it could easily be as armoured or support, but I'm calling it support, so it fits in the mechanised division rule set. Then next we have the M110 self-propelled AA gun. M110 self-propelled howitzer. Why have I written AA gun, or are they two different things? No, I probably just made a mistake. Okay. And this is armed with a 500mm hollow point HE combo shell. Seems like there's a lot of variety of shell types going on in this tank lineup. So whilst they all look, like I say, all recognisably similar from the outside, their armament's fairly mixed. And then, last but not least, we have a pair of M270 MLRSs, which, as the name suggests, is, I believe that's a multiple long range, or possibly, I don't know what it stands for. I'm pretty sure the M is multiple and the RS is rocket system. And this is armed with 6 12-block missiles. You can't see them right now, but this middle bit here folds open. Yep, you can see some of them there. This whole thing folds up, revealing those 6 12-block missiles. And yeah, they're some pretty big missiles, so it'll be interesting to see how well they work out. So that is the 500 mechanised and 3rd Airborne by Gaming 19. I believe the full name was a bit longer than that, but that's my shortened version, so I have a chance of being able to remember it. Next up, let's get rid of these vehicles first. Yep, don't want to forget to do that. Okay, next up we have the Chase Scenes in Heavy Metal by Charcharodon. Just get my notes on these. There we go. So, it's quite a difference to the previous entry. Let's check out the first up. Yeah, the Elite Metal Mauler, of which we have 2. These are armoured class. Whilst they appear utterly massive, I can assure you they do fit within the volume limit. In fact, I might as well just show you. There you go. In fact, they're about 100 under. So, yeah, definitely within the rules. They're armed with 3, count them, 3 500mm Hesh cannons. I think that's the most 500mm we've had in any entry yet. So, fairly distinctive looks. Not like anything else we've had appear in the tournament so far. I'm looking forward to seeing how these perform. Next up, we have a single regular metal mauler. And as you can see, pretty much like his big elite brother, but with a mere 2 500mm Hesh guns. I think the main body's the same and the difference is just in the turret. Again, armoured class. Yeah, not much to say other than like his brother but smaller. Alright, so next up we have the pair of Red Eruptions. Another tank class, also armed with twin 500mm Hesh guns. I'm not really sure how this differs other than visually to its metal mauler brothers. But again, very distinctive looks. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Now, I noticed these two bits of metal on the bottom when I was doing my rules test, and I thought to myself, I don't think they're supposed to be there, and they're stopping from moving. But sadly, there's nothing in the rules that say you have to submit a working moving vehicle. So, while some people might call this harsh, I've left them there. So, I'm sorry about that, Charcharodon, but it's not. And whilst I've been fixing some rule infractions, I haven't been fixing mistakes. So, some people are probably going to judge that unfair, but that's how I've decided. So, apologies in advance, but that was my call. Alright, next up we have a single, let's see if I can pronounce this properly. Whatever do when they see da popo. Which is, as you can see, a police car. Which is again an armoured class. This one is armed with a fairly unusual armament of, as you can see here, we have 16, because they're mirrored on both sides, 16 twin 228mm HE guns. So that's a lot of guns. I don't know how well it's going to work out. Again, it's a fairly novel design. I am really looking forward to seeing how this whole force works out. It could go incredibly, it could go disastrously. I have just no idea. But that's the Popo. Now, again on rules, some of you might recall there was a fairly strict ruling on spin blocks and how they had to be purely aesthetic. Now, strictly speaking, having this detection and equipment on there, against the rules, but I just love it. So, and I don't think, like, if these were mounted statically, not on the spin block, they'd probably be better than on the spin block, because that spin block's pretty vulnerable and I can easily see this whole thing being blown off and all the detection lost. So I'm not going to kick up a fuss about a minor quibble that actually is a kind of a downside, so I let that one go. That's, I think, the only rule infraction that I haven't called out elsewhere that I let go, but there it is. So yeah, one. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. Right. Then next up we have the Massive Armoured Destructor 2. I kind of want to know what Massive Armoured Destructor 1 was, but here we have him. And yep, despite his name was massive, he is within the volume limit, although he's a lot pretty intimidating in sheer size. He is again an armoured class, and he is armed with, relatively modestly, just one single 500mm Hesh gun. So again, just a wildly different design to anything else. I've got to say that for the chase scenes in Heavy Metal by Charcharodon. They're varied. Right, and finally we have Da Crazy Popo, which I believe is a bit of a variant on, oh no, a very different cop car. Also armed with these side-mounted guns. This is armed with just a pair of 402mm HE guns and this single trailer-mounted 206mm gun firing HE shells. So, yeah, a lot of variety there. A really interesting lineup. So that's the chase scenes in Heavy Metal by Charcharodon. Moving on next, I hate to be the one who has to follow that. In terms of the intros, we have the GPYF 2nd Armoured Defence Battalion by Thunder Panzer. I'm really not sure how you're supposed to say GPYFs. I just said it, probably like that. Anyway, moving on, let's take a look. Now, this is one of those divisions that likes to just straight away drive off and start smashing each other to bits. Like I've said in previous cases, I think when there's actually an enemy there, the AI behaves a little bit less suicidally. But there we have it. I'm going to try and do my intro while these guys... Yep. While these guys do that. Hopefully they'll wear themselves out. Anyway, let's start off with, this is a relatively undamaged AL8. Oh, he's on his side, that's why. This is an armoured class, armed with, you can't really see them, they're wrapped in the armour, but twin 500mm HESH, and I believe they also fire just straight HE shells. Can't really see the other side, but it looks pretty much like this side. As you can see, it's a fairly unusual design. Not quite as unusual as the... Oh, please stop doing that. I'm trying to do the intro here. Right, let's take a look at the next one. They're started off with 6 of them. Don't know how many are left. Right, next up we have these WKG-2Cs. Let's have a look. Right. That's probably not how it's supposed to look. Let's see if there's a more intact one somewhere. There's 2 of them, so... Oh, this one's mostly undamaged. Right, again on his side. Okay, good. This is a support class vehicle armed with a 293mm Sabo gun. I'm guessing this is intended as air defense or air support. Again, somewhat unusual. Oh, I could do that, I suppose. Just, yeah, there he is in all his beauty. So yeah, that's the WKG-2C. Next we have 4 of the T9s. Let's find one that isn't at 5% health. 89, is that as good as I'm going to get? 89, yep, that's as good as I'm going to get. Okay. Right, these appear to be the smaller brothers of the T9s. Pretty similar look. Armed with just a single 500mm Sabo gun this time. So it should be good at taking out heavily armoured targets. Again, similar kind of looks with this unusual armoured turret arrangement, or armoured barrel, sorry, and very large turrets. You can't get a brilliant look, but I think you get the idea. Next up, we have the HPZ 80-12. There's a pair of them again. That's 72. Right, let's have a look at this one. Tell you what, if I drop out of build mode and if I can find him, is that him? I think so. I'll use the repair gun. Okay, so you can actually see what it's supposed to look like. Right, there we go. This again, I suspect is intended as an air support unit with these 4 triple-barreled 80mm Sabo guns. A somewhat unusual arrangement. Most people would probably have gone for twin 6 barrels, but here we go. Again, like I said, air support, I think. Sort of similar, losing the armoured barrel arrangements, but yeah, still recognisably sharing the aesthetic of its bigger brothers. And then finally, we have a single one of the RKT-1s, which again has been smashed to bits. So let's see if I can find and repair him. Is that him? I think that was him. Oh no, don't do that. Alright, he's making a break for it. That's good. Just don't... Oh. Okay. Alright. Right, I give up. I think you've got to look at him. He's a support class. He's armed with 28 6-block missiles. And I think I've had enough of the GPYF introduction for now. So, let's move on to the final member of Group 3, which is the T Battalion by Thompson. Hopefully, they'll be better behaved. So, let's have a look at these. As you can see, There's quite a few of them, and they are an armoured division. I think this is probably the group that took me the longest to rule check, just because they have the most variety of vehicles. So thanks for that, Thompson. But well, I don't need you to tell me they are good-looking vehicles. No, I don't need to tell you they are good-looking vehicles. No one needs to tell anyone they're good-looking vehicles. So this is what was it? A T1000 Terminator, which I'm pretty sure is a rip-off of a certain fairly famous movie character, but we'll gloss over that. There's 3 of these. They're armoured class, and they're armed with twin 250mm Hesh guns. So, much like as Thompson is, I think, fairly well known for, these are some pretty gorgeous designs, fearsome looking. Even got the little ejectors in the sides there. That's a pretty clever design feature. I'm looking forward to seeing how well that works out. I do like that a lot. So next up we have the T2R Ripper, which is again an armoured class, armed with the twin 6-barreled 100mm sabot guns. I'm assuming this is intended as air support. Similar stylings, but obviously a bit smaller, but still pretty fantastic looking. I just like everything about these. I wish I could make things that look that good. Right, moving on. The T10M catapult. Slightly damaged somehow. This is a support class, as you can see, armed with these missile launchers. I believe it has 18 6-block missile launchers. Also with this adorable arrangement of ammo in a trailer. I suspect this probably won't last that long, but I guess if it blows, no harm done. Pretty clever arrangement, actually. Again, awesome looking. Yeah. Right, moving on. We have the T40 SPFG Flakka. I think, as the name suggests, and its armament suggests, being 2 242mm flak guns, this is a anti-missile defence unit. I think it's intended to spin out a lot of flak and yeah, take out missiles. So pretty similar to the TR2 Ripper, but with just slightly different armament. This, yeah, again, it's a support class vessel, so that would make it legal to have anti-missile controllers. So yeah. Next up, we have the T-33 Mighty. There are 2 of these, and again, a pretty sturdy looking main battle tank style unit. This is an armoured class, armed with a 500mm Hesh gun. Similar but a little bit different to the T1000 Terminator class. Like I said, there's a pair of these, and again, pretty slick looking. I like them a lot. Again, that clever side mounted ejector arrangement. I wonder if that might be a bit of a weak point in the armour, or it might just be a smart move to save yourself from being just turret popped. Interested to see how well that works. Next we have the T2K Kramer, which I'm guessing from the name is going to be the Cram Cannon. Yep, there he is. It's a somewhat unusual arrangement of the Cram in the main body, although we did see that on the I believe that was the Z-10 Air Control. Their X-33 Ambassador classes had a similar body mounted Cram cannon as well as a regular advanced cannon turret. So that is armed with a 1943mm Cram gun as well as a twin 250mm Hesh gun. Again, I do like that kind of plough arrangement on the front. These, whilst they look spiky and like rams, are just wood blocks, so all legal. This unit will not, well, these wood blocks will not fare well in a ramming. But I suspect that's not what this vehicle's intended to do. But yeah, loving all the various embellishments on that. And then, last but not least, we have the TFX 300 Bolt class, which is a little fighter plane. Pretty small compared to all the others. Not quite as detailed, but still a good-looking plane. And he is armed with 8 6-block missiles. So, yeah, that is the T Battalion by Thompson, and that is all the competitors in Group 3. So, I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to the battles. But anyway, thanks for watching.